Okay, so I was doing some research last night and I was looking through the Humboldt points in a book that I have. I got the idea for this shape from projectilepoints.net, and there was one in there that looked like this with the little ears at the bottom and kind of wide. But apparently, Humboldts are very variable in shape. So I'll just give you an idea. I colored in the ones that are made of obsidian so that they'll look darker. Okay, a lot of them have that basal notch, as you can see. And this is my point here. Some are quite long and some are short and resharpened. I'm not sure what the first stage of these looks like. Probably a little wider than this, but I'm not too sure about that. They may start out looking like this, where the margins are convex, then they get resharpened down straight. You know what I mean? They might start this way and end up that way, for example. Now again, I darkened the ones made of obsidian, and they were hafted like this. There's even an example of one was found in let's see, Hidden Cave, Nevada. So that's how they were hafted. This one is actually broken in two spots. The tip broke off, but there's also some breakage at the base. But they rehafted it even with the break. So it looks like the ears broke off. There might still be a little notch at the bottom, but I haven't seen an x-ray of this one, so I don't know. But the base is broken and the tip is broken on this. Okay. Anyway, let's see. I went ahead and I colored in a lot of the obsidian ones in this book. Here we go. So I'm going to attempt another Humboldt. This is a Humboldt. This is a Humboldt. This is the one that I made. So you can see the size variability is quite a bit. And these are almost arrow size down here. And this one is made on a flake. You can see the curve. This one is not a Humboldt. It's called a Buchanan eared. Anyway, we don't know what the tip looks like. Okay, so I'm going to try to make one of these with a preform from another video. So I think I've got enough width. Yeah. And this is the book here, so I know there'll be questions. I'm pretty sure this is out of print, so you may only be able to get it as an ebook. Okay, so I'm gonna be working on this preform here to try to make a proper or a more common type of Humboldt. Okay. So I got plenty of room. So it's just going to be straight-sided, triangular, with that notch in the base. Okay. And I will be using the wrought iron tools. Let's see if I got all my pressure flakers here. Okay. Let's see. I feel like I should reduce this down a little bit more, but sometimes Humboldts are quite thick, so I guess I think I'll be all right with pressure. I was doing some pressure flaking just before this to try to get warmed up. I hope I didn't tire myself out. And it looks like the Humboldts were resharpened and manufactured with flakes from tip to base on both sides. So they were actually driving ribbon flakes instead of overlapping wide flakes. They were driving narrow flakes. And what else? What else was I reading? Oh yeah, the blades sometimes curve. They're not straight. They either curve. I think they said curve down to the left. You know what I mean? If they do curve, it's curved down to the left. Or to the right. I can't remember exactly. So those are characteristics. The ribbon flaking, I think it went from upper left to lower right. Both sides. And then the blade is slightly twisted going down to the left, I think. But I'm not going to worry about that slight twist. Right now I'm just attacking the lumpy spots. I'm doing as much pressure as I can to get used to it. I do have, well, let's see. I was going to use my indirect pressure as an Ishi stick, indirect percussion stick as a Ishi stick. But for some reason I can't find it. Okay, here it is. Let's see if I can try this here. Now I don't know if they were using Ishi sticks. I have a feeling they probably were, since in that part of the country, long-handled pressure flakers were used in historic times. There's ethnographic evidence of long pressure flaking sticks. So they were finishing these out with pressure. They may have started the preforms with percussion, but they were definitely finishing them out with pressure. So it appears. Now it's really easy to blow off a tip or to overshoot. It's not that long. They probably had longer sticks in this. And of course they were using antler, not wrought iron or bone. Pretty sure they had bone pressure flakers as well. There's a lot of evidence in the dry caves, and some of the pressure flakers I was reading are bone. And these Noel Justice books are pretty good as far as describing what they think was done with the knapping and how it was done, with what tools and so forth. And many of these descriptions of the different type clusters, they type these points in, or they group these points into clusters. So the Humboldt is a cluster by itself. Sometimes it overlaps with the Pinto culture, which I'll be doing some of those too. And maybe another culture I'm forgetting. So what's going to be the main difference between the way steel makes the flakes and the way antler makes the flakes? Well, obviously there's more crushing going on the initiation of the flakes. So the edges are going to be different. That's probably the main difference there. There's not going to be too much of a difference other than just the sheer length of the flakes. The antler is better at driving flakes because it is more flexible, I think. Spongy. You kind of need a little bit of flexibility and sponginess to grab onto the edge to generate nice long flakes. So I've got, it's not that difficult really to make, you know, flakes in sequence close together. Especially on Obsidian. Obsidian is great for that. And I want to make sure I keep going in the correct direction with these flakes, just to get used to it. So when I'm on this side, I got to push upward this way. And when I'm on that side, you push downward. A lot of these flakes are going to meet in the middle. That's my goal, and that's what was done on the real ones too. Now, some of them are going to go all the way across. But that's not the typical. The typical flake just goes, you know, halfway or a little more on the artifacts, as far as I can tell. And if you do it the same direction every time, the same way every time, you get good at generating flakes no matter what the situation. You can overcome situations if you're doing it exactly the same way every time. I can see the benefit of doing it that way. See, I'm pushing that way on this side. Then when I flip it over, pushing that way. Yeah, you can push that as long as the tip goes the other way. You can keep pushing in this direction. When you flip it over, you push in that direction. So you're doing the same motion over and over and over again. And when you don't have to think about the position or how you're going to take a flake, you can focus on what type of force you need and what type of platform you need to take care of problems on the surface, like step fractures and lumps and other defects, thick spots. Still getting slippage even on the roll of the leather. I got to keep this base kind of wide. I don't want to make the base too narrow or the stem too narrow. Oh yeah, something else I was reading some of the ones that are found hafted don't have any hafting glue. So either the hafting glue was some kind of organic material that wasted away, or they were hafted without glue, which seems kind of unusual because it does have that notch in the middle, and you would think that would be, you know, a reservoir for glue. So I don't know. Also, it's believed through use-wear studies that many of these were used as knives at some stage, where it might, you know, they might not be used as knives in the beginning, but if they get dinged or whatever and resharpened, they can be reused as knives instead of projectile points. That would be my guess. But use-wear has indicated that it looks like these were used as knives. I haven't seen too many with impact fractures in the illustrations. A lot of them are quite small, so I don't see how you would, what the advantage would be to use a really small knife. Be better to use it as a projectile point if it's small. I don't know. I was just now saying that after it gets resharpened down and becomes small, they might be used as knives. I don't know. So I think I'm contradicting myself there. So don't listen to me. Okay. So I'm kind of getting used to pushing flakes off in that direction. I hope it's in focus. Those flakes are not flying too bad. I'm going to keep the glove off. So I don't know if you can see, but those flakes are starting to go in an oblique manner. If I just keep up the same direction, I should be able to get a nice pattern, or fairly nice. Actually, I'm going to keep the glove on. So it's getting really close to being thin enough. So I got to be careful with this next pass. If I'm careful enough and get these flakes to travel nicely, it can be my last pass. Let's see. So from tip to base, it's kind of risky to do that when the point is really thin. You know, send flakes in that direction toward the tip. It's kind of risky. You got to study the illustrations more. They may not have flaked upward like that here. They may have flaked downward and then switched to upward down here. So this is not going to be my last pass on this side. I've got some damage control to do. Oh, I don't know. I might be able to get it all. I'm not applying too much pressure on this. It's pretty easy going as far as pressure goes. So from tip to base, just opportunistic flaking. I'm not preparing specific platforms. But I'm trying to space these so that they overlap just a little bit. Sometimes I'll jump around if I see a bad spot. I'll take out the bad spot first. Just so I can have a nice, nice clear surface for the pretty flakes. Now these are wider than I would like. think to make them more narrow, I'm going to have to use a sharper tip. But I don't want to right now. There's a little culprit to keep stealing my tools. He shouldn't be standing there while I'm napping. What you doing, buddy? There's the culprit. He's the only one that knows how to get in here. He chewed a hole in one of the doors. I haven't fixed it yet because I don't really care. Ventilation is good. It's a good thing. Anyway, he chewed a hole in the bottom of the door. It's a very weak door. And he can slide in there. Slide under the door. So that little sneaker is in here a lot. He doesn't seem to mess with anything except my tools. Oh yeah, he did eat some mouse poison one day. We had to take him to the vet. So I don't put that mouse poison on at the floor level anymore. Okay, so I think I'm getting some oblique flaking. But they're a little bit wide. I hope you can see that. And they're not traveling across the face very well. They kind of stop and get all jumbled in the middle. But at least the direction is proper. So I'll do this other side on the next video.